Thank you for being here with me. It's another Saturday morning or whatever day it is for you. You're here because you want to connect your hands and your feet to your center. And we're going to talk about two different ways that we can potentially connect hands and feet to center. One would be physical, the other would be energetic and or spiritual. And we're going to do both. And the beginning of the practice will be on the ground, so please set up your mat. And that will be more of a exploratory, fun, somatic rolling around, kind of very intuitive movement. I hope you enjoy that part. But then we're going to go to standing. And the standing portion is more about connecting your hands and feet proprioceptively to your core center, we might say. So a little bit different approach to find that the proprioception is this idea of where is your body in space? And being that our hands and our feet are the furthest from our center, and we use them so much, it's really good to know where they are. So let's get started, and we'll come down onto our backs just for a moment, and I'm going to ask you to come into constructive rest, which means your knees are bent and your feet are on the ground. So we want that stability of ground on the feet. And then take your arms to your sides and place your palms down for a moment and just notice what that feels like. Feel the soles of your feet and the palms of your hands touching the ground. And then in your own body, we're going to start with this understanding of physical center, which is typically somewhere in or around the navel. You might feel it slightly above the navel or below the navel, but explore finding your idea of where your center is in your body. I often refer to the pelvis as the center of your universe. Physically, it connects our upper, lower, and body. But if you were to come into your body in the center, where is that? And see if you can find it not only in the front space of your body, but through the sides and the back, where you're resting and supported by gravity in the ground underneath you. And from that center, with your mind's eye, imagine you have a crayon or a marker and draw a line through your left leg and into your left foot. See if you can connect center with that line, wherever you want to go through your leg to your left foot. And you might notice the back of your center resting on the ground, as is the sole of your left foot. And then we'll do the same with the right leg. Come back into your center, and you can do it a few times. Just with the mind's eye, imagine you can draw a line from your core center. And we use the term the midline, which is if we were to draw a line up the center of your body that runs along your spine. So your center is typically on the midline, but you're going to go down that right side to the right foot. Just experiencing yourself from center to right foot. We start with this opening meditation, and I like to think of the imagery of anatomy. So you can visualize all your toes if you'd like, just to help you to see yourself clearly. And then we'll take a moment and we're going to go around clockwise. So now feel your right hand from your center. Find that center. And imagine you could draw a line, or maybe it's your breath if you are used to working with the pranic breath, which is this idea of not just the physical breath and the connection of what we bring out to in, but the energetic part of breathing from center through the right shoulder and all the way into the palm of the hand. What does your center feel like, and what does your right palm and fingers feel like? What's resting on the floor, what's not? So we use the floor for feedback. If you're not feeling, sometimes just a little bit of movement can work. Wiggling toes or fingers. We're on to fingers now, but you could wiggle your right fingers because movement will create a little more sensation perhaps. And then back into the center. And this time breathing through your left shoulder, down your arm, and into the palm of your hand. Into that left palm. And connecting center to your left palm. And perhaps in this journey, one foot was easier than the other, one hand or arm was easier to connect with as you draw these lines from center. What can you see clearly? what's hiding itself from you, just noticing that. And then begin to take some breaths into your center. So if you were to place your hands there, you'll feel yourself rise up as you breathe in, like a big balloon. And as you breathe out, just relax. So we're going to add just a little bit of movement onto that. Think of yourself like a star. We actually have 5 points, with the crown of the head being the 5th point. So we have the 2 feet and the hands. And now as you begin to breathe in, just slide out your legs a little bit and reach wherever you want through your hands. It doesn't have to be far, but reach away from the center as you breathe in. And then as you breathe out, just slide back to center. You could keep feet on the floor, arms on the floor, or if you want to go further and hug in, that's up to you. So the other thing I try to image is like a flower. As you're breathing in, you're going to open and reach through the fingers and the hands and the toes and the feet. So think of moving out of your center from feet and hands leading you, and then feet and hands come back towards the center, stopping here or coming all the way. Like the navel center can be like a vacuum sucking you back in. And begin to just ride the waves of your breath. So the breath in is like the crest of the wave. We're big, we're tall, we're making ourselves large. The breath out, we don't crash down, but we come back in to ourselves. And just do a few more of those. See if you can initiate the movement from your hands and your feet. So your brain is going to feel it that way. It should feel nice. Nice beginning stretch here. Let's do one more. And if you're comfortable with the legs in this extension, just pause and be. If it's too much, go back to bent knees and feet on the floor. So if you have any pulling in the low back, do that. Let's take 5 rounds of breath here. And see yourself as that 5-point star from the navel center through your right foot and toes, left foot and toes, left hand and fingers, right hand and fingers, and the crown of the head. Now as you breathe in, we're going to change our awareness just into the heart center, because I'm giving you 2 options in this practice. So the physical center is typically somewhere around the navel, but we also have our heart center. And come into your heart center, wherever you may find that. Typically it's somewhere in the rib cage, just below the sternum. And from an energetic standpoint, take a breath into the heart. You'll feel your chest rise up. And remember those lines we were drawing. Draw lines all the way out to the palms of the hands and the soles of the feet, the centers of the soles. So energetically, in the Ayurvedic lineage, we have what's called the marma points. Your heart marma is the Hridaya marma, wherever you feel that, your spiritual and emotional heart. And as we breathe in, we're filling that space. And as we breathe out, we're going to send the energy of the heart into the Tala Hridaya marmas. I call them the heart hands and heart feet, which are in the center of the palms of the hands, the Tala Hridaya, and the center of the feet. We'll just do that for about 3 more rounds of breath. Breathe into the heart center. And see yourself sending the breath into the palms of the hands and the centers of the soles of the feet. So we're connecting our spiritual heart with our hands as they literally connect to the heart through the arms, but also all the way down to the feet and the way we receive the earth. The feet are a very important part of heart health. And let's get ready for movement and play time. So bend your knees, slide your feet in, take your feet up off the ground and hands up off the ground, and just begin to wiggle toes and fingers first. Just toes and fingers, however you'd like. So sometimes it's going to be hard. I notice my ankles want to move, but I want to just keep the ankles still, whether they're in a position of, you can be in plantar flexion or you can come into dorsal flexion. So either way, your ankles, or just relax your ankles. Just fingers and toes. How does that feel? And you'll notice when we lifted up the arms and the legs, there's almost a heaviness perhaps that you feel in your core. So you want to feel that core. And as you exhale, let the thighs come a little bit closer to the body and draw in. So you might even press the low back and low ribs, the back side of your core center, into the ground, and you'll feel a little more contraction through the front side. Keep wiggling just the fingers and toes. And then feel your wrists and your ankles and move from wrists and ankles. And as you're doing that, inhale, feel your front body open, and you might even arch a little bit through the front body, come onto the tailbone, lift the low back and low ribs. And as you exhale, press down through low back and low ribs so you feel that slight contraction or activation of the front body, the core. You're feeling your core contract on the exhale, the front of it. And then inhale, you can lift up just a little bit, feel it stretch. And we're just moving fingers and toes. So it seems simple, yeah, but it's also a lot to think about. Ankles, both wrists. And if you want to just do one, or you like your arms at the sides, you could go into more of extended leg position. Be playful. Say hello. All right. And then we're going to start to slide our legs into what we often call happy baby in our yoga philosophy. And you're going to just draw your legs to your sides a little bit and then come more into an extension. Reach through the toes. As you exhale, draw the thighs. So you're drawing your thighs, but move from your toes. Reach your toes as you breathe in, and your legs will get long. And then draw the tops of your feet towards your shins and pull your legs back. You can use your hands there if you'd like. And the next time you're there, see if your hands, they may not go all the way to your feet. That's absolutely fine. You can come to your ankles or just your shins. If you can get hands to your feet, go ahead and grab your feet for just a moment. You might want to rock your core center. It feels good, rocking the baby. But you may be down here, and that's fine too. You can make circles, go side to side. And if you can, get that physical connection of hands to feet. And then we're going to let just the right foot come down to the ground. So you can hold on to the left leg wherever it's available to you. So it could be the shin, the ankle, the foot, but both hands there if you can. And then keep that rocking side to side, and you're going to start to do a front to back. Typically when we do the front to the back, or when I do it, I like to take that right leg a little bit longer because you can push into your right foot. And notice how when you push into your right foot, it's going to create movement in the left leg as well. And then we're going to start to play with rolling. So you can roll from side. So you might have a hold of the foot or the ankle, and then roll back. So you're going to push into the right foot to roll your body. So really playful, right? Just going side to side. Push in and roll. So the side to side is sometimes a little bit easier. And if you feel better holding back here, do that too. Then we're going to start to go front to back. So the front to back, we're going to feel a little bit more core. We have to. I call this intuitive core play. So to get yourself up, say you wanted to come to a seated position from here, you might have to start to create a little rocking position or rocking movement, a little momentum. And you can do that by pushing. If you push into your right foot, it's going to take you back. So going to the back position first to create that momentum, and then pull yourself forward. And you might even reach that right foot. So remember when we were doing the reach the feet and pull them in, now it's push the right foot and reach it to rock up. And just give that a few plays. Again, you're holding your left leg wherever it helps you, wherever it suits you to come up. And rocking back down. You may want to slightly tuck the chin towards the chest. If this is hurting your neck in any way, then you can do the same thing and just keep the head on the ground and just reach from here. So otherwise, we're coming all the way up. So we're going to land up. So if you want to use your hand on the ground, please do, but come up. We're going to just say hello to our left foot. So however you can get a hold of that, just take a moment, take one or both hands, and imagine you're spreading the top of the foot with your two thumbs. Just spread it out a little bit. And as you're doing that, you can gently poke the tips of your fingers into the sole of the foot, unless you have really long nails. Be careful of that. And just explore your foot with both hands. So the other one we do is take your thumbs into your foot, and we do like a thumb chasing thumbs or one on top of the other. So it's really important, skin is our biggest organ, and it's a really great place to hang out in what we call our felt sense. Obviously, you're feeling this. We can know this by things like we can get a tiny sliver and how that takes all of our attention, right? If we had a sliver in our foot, unfortunately. But now, stay present and just feel your foot. And this concept of having your hands and your feet have a little party together. You might even come to your toes, and you can bend your toes forward and back. So you can approach all your toes as one lovely unit. Or you can do one toe at a time with your fingers. Just an exploration, hands to feet. And I like to picture as I'm doing this, the energetic heart coming from the top, from the hridaya, coming down the arms. And so centers of the palms, there's this beautiful heart light, and centers of the feet. And they can meet each other and create this circular pattern of loving, compassionate energy. Taking just a moment more. Honor your left foot, all the places it's taken you and will take you. So you can be more physical with the massage or more energetic. It's up to you. And then we're going to come back down. So grab a hold of the leg, come down very slowly. See if you can just let yourself into gravity in a way that you are completely in control. Use that core center. Really, really gradual. If you hear a thump, that's okay. Then come all the way down. And just for a moment, take both legs long, palms back down the way we started, and we'll just take 3 to 5 rounds of breath and land and locate. And feel yourself through your left and your right side if we drew that midline up the center of the body. Can you feel a difference in your left and your right side? Is it just the foot? Does it come all the way up the leg? Does it come all the way into your core center? Any change in your hands? So our brain is mapping out our body, and sometimes that hand to foot contact, the skin contact, will help it to map it. And then we're going to go the other way. So go ahead and bend your knees, grab your legs for a moment. You can rock around with hands to the backs of the thighs. So readjusting to that happy baby position again. Hands can stay at the backs of the thighs, your calves. If you can grab a hold of your feet, by all means do that, but not required. Rock with both feet up in the air again. And then we're going to let that left foot come down. So the left foot will be the pusher this time. And you can hold anywhere on your right leg line. And we'll start with just a little side to side rock. So notice as you push into your left foot, especially the big toe side of your left foot, you're going to roll to the right. And then you got to catch yourself. And then you can come back to the center, then push into the pinky toe side of the left foot, and notice how you roll to the left. And it can be really small first. So you can feel the way that we often use the term root to rise. So imagine your left foot is rooting down, and that's what's creating the movement. And just nice side to side, or you can start to go a little bit bigger. Let yourself weeble wobble all the way onto one side. It all depends what feels good. If sometimes your hips will be digging into the mat, so this is a practice too that you could stop the video now and put an extra blanket underneath you. That's sometimes nice. The things we forget when we get excited to do our practice, but a blanket could be good. And just rocking side to side. All right. And then let's switch that to the front to the back. So now, wherever you're holding your right leg, it's drawing in towards your core center, but push into your left foot so that you feel your pelvis go towards your nose, so tail to tongue, and then use that to create momentum. So you're pushing back, and then you're just starting to rock up. You don't have to go very far. In fact, your head could stay on the ground, and we're just feeling the right leg come towards us and away from us. I tend to exhale and come back here and inhale forward, but it doesn't have to happen that way. So right leg comes towards your center, right foot, and then reaching out, but you're pushing into that left foot. Create movement from the left foot, like a pulsation. And if you want to start coming higher, then push into that left foot and then reach with the left foot. Get that momentum going. And coming all the way up if you'd like. You feel that spot where you sort of get stuck, right? And that is when your core kicks in. So I have this foot straight. I often will take it more like a baby. This gives me a little bit more to hold on to. So I'll take it across the midline of the body, push into the left foot, and reach. So push in and reach. Take a few more. How can you use your left foot to help you come up and then hold that right leg from your core center? We'll rock up to the next one. Hopefully this feels good on your spine too. And we'll stop and we'll pause and give our right foot a little bit of attention. So I like to start from the top of the foot. It's like you're breaking bread with your thumbs and just rubbing the top of the foot. These are some of the Thai yoga massage movements we do. So you can just massage the top of the foot like you're gently opening it up, stretching the skin. Meanwhile, the rest of your fingers are on the sole of the foot, gently pressing in. Then you can switch and bring your thumbs or your fingers, I like thumbs, they're powerful, into the soles of the foot and just explore. You may find the exploration benefits by watching or by closing your eyes and feeling. But remember, we're physically massaging the foot, and we've got our hands to our feet. And this is such a thing for, if you watch infants when they're so excited when they first find their fingers and then they find their toes. So we still have that instinctually in us. Find your fingers and toes. You can play with them together. You can bend them forward and back. But remember that we're also energetically connecting from the heart through the palms of the hands and the soles of the feet. Bringing that loving kindness in this circular pattern from the heart through the arms and to that beautiful right foot. Wherever you want to go with that. Notice when your skin is stretching, you can compress your skin with your hands. Just the skin on skin contact. All right, and we'll let that foot go. And this time we'll just sit for a moment. See if you can feel a little bit of that zinginess in both of your feet. If you have more awareness of your feet, you might flip your palms up now and just take your palms up towards the sky. Feel yourself from a seated position from the core center. Breathe into your core and breathe out to the soles of the feet and the palms of the hands. Because we're getting ready to use them again. So first find them. We're going to flip over onto all fours. Again, great opportunity to put a blanket underneath you. If you want something underneath your knees, you can also just double up your mat. So this would be an easy way to double up your mat so you have more padding under your knees. And hands to the ground. So you want to be able to roll your toes under, though, if you do have your mat rolled under. We're going to first just see what it feels like to push in. So I'm going to have you push into the left hand and release. And push into the right hand and release. I tend to do this one on exhale because you'll notice as you push into a hand, your back is going to curl. Your tailbone will curl down a little bit. And it's like you're filling up your backside, but you're also contracting your core center. So then I'm pushing into my right hand and releasing. Just notice what that feels like. So you can think of pushing the floor away from you or rooting your hand down into the ground. And do one more side to side, and then do both. And can you feel the difference between when you were doing one side, the response from your all the way up your arm bone into your shoulder blade, and maybe even down into the center, versus both, feeling those shoulder blades spread away from the spine, and then come back in. And then we'll move into the toes. So if the tops of the feet are to the ground, I'm going to ask you to roll your toes under. And we'll start with just one leg. So with the toes rolled under, lift one knee up. And then drop it down. Think of pushing into the ball mount of the foot to lift the leg. It really usually doesn't feel good with the top of the foot flat. It's nice to stretch our foot anyhow. So see if you can push the right behind the big toes and all the toes there, push it and lift your knee just as high as you can go. Push into the foot to lift the knee off the ground. Can you feel that connection? And what do you feel in your core? And you might notice, for instance, as you lift your right leg, you feel a little more core action through the right waist and abdominal side. You might even feel it now in your backside and your buttocks muscles. So we go side to side. And then we pause. So now keep those toes rolled under. Let's see if we want to do both. So I again tend to do this on an exhale. I'm going to push into the balls of the feet and then lift. And then I inhale, come down. If your wrists are giving you any grief, you're always welcome to do a fist instead, or you could come down to forearms for this part just to give your wrists a break. Otherwise, roll your toes under, lift up, and drop down. I exhale, lift up, push into the feet, push your heels back like you're pushing on a pedal with the heels of your feet. Roll the toes under, release. I release the toes here, take them out from the tuck position. Exhale, come up, and release. All right, we're going to do a little bit of a stretch on the hands. So just take your hands, take your weight back a little bit, either rolled toes under if you want to stretch the soles of your feet or tops of the feet down. And then take your fingers, face them towards your knees, backs the hands to the ground. Bend your elbows at first and see how much contact you can get the backs of the hands with the surface of the floor. And then you're just going to rock forward a little bit, stretching the wrist the opposite direction. And then you can exhale, rock back, bend your elbows. So think of pushing into your feet to rock forward, stretching the wrists out, and then drop back. If it feels like it's too much, you can also turn your fingers towards one another, towards the center of the mat, and let your elbows come together and then bend out to the sides. So this is going to give you a bigger stretch if the fingers are facing towards your knees. Just a little counter pose for the wrists. And then we'll pause. Flip the hands back. We got one more here on all fours. So spread your fingers. Imagine they're like roots of a tree and they're the roots of your heart, right? And then think of dialing your hands outward towards the edge of the mat, not physically moving them, but muscularly. You'll feel your arm bones hug towards one another, and the center of the inner elbow might turn slightly forward. So you feel those shoulder blades. Now push into your hands and your feet and lift on exhale. And then inhale, drop down. And now you're really going to notice the connection into your core, because as you push into your hands and feet, you also have to lift a little bit with your core. And that's why it's nice to do that on an exhale. As you inhale, you could think belly's going to fill, the abdominal area is going to expand. And as you exhale, draw it in, push into feet and hands. Just that, like we're if you've ever watched a baby when they decide it's time to start to stand up. Typically my feet are about hip distance apart, but that doesn't have to be either. You can play. If you were a young child, you're going to have your hands different distances apart and feet different distances apart. So feel the connection of hands and feet to that physical center, coming up just as high as you want. And it might be just a tiny bit. And if that feels like too much, go back to pushing into hands and feet and just lift one knee at a time. Right? And go back to that. If you want to hang on there a little bit, take your next one and hold it just for 3 breaths. Push the ground away with the feet and the hands and draw up through the core. Feel that connection, maybe a little bit of warmth in the body. And go ahead and release that down. If your mat is all caught up, go ahead and spread it out, because we're going to come up to standing and we're going to do a little wrist stretching there as well. So here's my other point here. We often use our hands to get up. So one of the habits that I try to get into is to use other parts of my body other than my arms. So from this position or this position, one of the ways to get that intuitive core to keep working with hands and feet is not always using the hands, but see if you can figure out how to get up without the hands. Take your time. How do you use your feet? Right? How do you use your legs? And this is just practical stuff. How do we get off the ground without our hands versus pushing? And of course, you can use your hands, but if you are, make it very purposeful. Push into the hands to rise up, right? And then take your feet. So you can do that a couple times and join me standing. So now that we're standing, there's a whole different perception from our brain because all we've got is these tiny little feet on the ground. And think of all the feedback we got when our back was on the ground. This part, by the way, you might want to put a little music on because we're going to go into a little bit of a dance routine. So make it fun for yourself. And this is the part about proprioception. So where is our body in space? Simplest thing we do is recognize that our feet are now grounded. They're rooted. And we want to let that presence of feet hold us. So you can rock side to side. You can make circles with your hips. So any playful movements that travel all the way from your core center down into your feet. Right? If we were trying to keep our feet still and move our core, we're really limited. So move from your core center and let the bottom half of your body respond. Let it follow, right? You might find you have to bend your knees. If you were that wave in the ocean, the whole wave moves, right? So you're making that wave and letting your feet respond. And then let's switch that around. Keep your center where it is and see what happens if we move from our feet. So you could rock to the pinky toe side of your right foot and big toe side of the left foot. It's a good ankle stretch, by the way. And then come back to the center. And then pinky toe side of left foot, big toe side of right foot. And notice this one too. It feels a lot more pleasurable if you let your core center respond to your feet, right? If we try to move the feet and lock the core in, it's just not natural. So feel the way even your shoulders and your hands are shifting, right? Side to side. And one or two more. Moving from your feet. Then you can go just play your toes like piano keys. Lift them up and then put them back down one at a time if you can. This is just a little simple thing we do. Playing the toes. And then this back and forth. So we are going to be doing something where we're coming onto the heels of the feet and the balls of the feet. So coming forward onto the balls of the feet, bend your knees. You probably have to. And then back to the heels. So again, if you start to rock back and forth from your feet, how does your core respond? The balls of the feet and the heels. Super simple, but you're going to start to feel more muscles in your legs. As you come, I'll turn sideways. As far as you want to go. So with any of this balance stuff, if you feel at all like you're uncomfortable, you can do any of it with a hand on the wall. But start to come forward and back. So this next one we do really takes us into our legs, but it's a definite test of proprioception. So I'll start with the right foot. You're going to step your right foot just slightly forward to the left and feet are about hip distance apart. And then once you get there, I just want you to feel the balls of your feet. So think of where I call them your toe knuckles are. You're going to feel those toe knuckles and then lift your heels onto the balls of the feet. So not on the toes so much as the balls of the feet, right? And then come back down. And just do that a few times and you'll notice your legs will extend as you come onto the balls of the feet and you can bend your knees as you drop back down. So find that movement. If you feel really tippy, you might have to, I say, widen your wheelbase, right? When we go four-wheeling, we want a wider wheelbase, and this is like four-wheeling. So you want to be far enough apart, not too far forward, that you can come up. And now you're finding those glorious calf muscles, perhaps. They're working for you. So let's add the hands into this one. So feel yourself from your feet and your core center. And now as you lift up, see if your arms want to come up overhead, or maybe just part way. And as you breathe out and come back down, I'm not going to come all the way down to the heels. I'm going to try to keep my heels lifted, but I'm going to bend my knees and take my fingers back. So I'm still on the balls of the feet, traveling up. Of course, at any time you want, you can let your heels land if that feels better, but do your best to feel yourself from the balls of the feet, keeping the toes soft, lifting up. If you want to add your breath, lift up on the inhale. Drop down as far as you can on the exhale. So here's that push again, right? You're pushing into the balls of the feet and you're reaching through your hands. And notice how your core comes forward. And then you're dropping your heels and dropping your hands. And notice where you go into your core center there. Lots of power in the legs here. Nice and slow if you're not doing it to your breath. You might get a little shaky in the legs. This is a good power move to connect you to your feet and your hands. Do one more up. It's really good for ankle strengthening as well. And then we're going to hold on each end. So take a few breaths up here. Feel yourself in space. Keep those ankles lifted. And then take a few breaths down here, just a few. Take your breaths to balance. And then let the heels come down. That might create some tired feet. So in between, we're going to do a little more proprioceptive movement, but we're going to add a march in place. So shift your weight into your right foot, lift onto your left foot. So now that right foot's flat. When you lift, you can come onto left toes, or you can come all the way to 90 degrees. So I'll show that from the side too. Come here, step back down. If doing it to your breath, we typically lift on the inhale and come down on the exhale. So this is a push and a pull with the feet. So what I want you to recognize is on lifting the left leg, you're going to push into the right foot. That's that root to rise as you're lifting the left foot. And then come back down. Push into left foot to lift the right foot. And come back down. And we'll leave the hands for a moment out of this one. Just the side to side. One more round. Whoop, lost my balance. And come back down. So side two, we'll take the left foot slightly forward. You can kind of spread your toes. Keep your feet as wide as your hips. And first to see what it feels like to lift your heels. So you'll know right away, is your stance too wide from front to back, not wide enough side to side. So make any adjustments and come onto the balls of the feet. Lift your heels. So you're lifting your heels, but pushing into the balls of the feet. And you might come down on the heels the first couple times. And then see if there's a place where you can sustain that lift onto the balls of the feet, heels up, and then lift up, bend your knees and drop down with the heels lifted. Really slow. So when we find those shaky points, go even slower through them. We want to connect to those muscles. That's the whole key, is the feet are connecting your core center through your legs, right? So you're going to feel your leg muscles as you breathe in, lift up. If you'd like to add the arms. And as you breathe out, take the arms back and down. So push into the balls of the feet, lift through the hands simultaneously. So if we were to take our core, keep going, but if we were to take our core, you think the bottom half of your body from waist down is going into the earth, and the upper half of the body is reaching away from the earth. As we drop, we just let gravity have a little picnic with us. Slowly though, we're in control. Push into the earth and reach away from the earth with the hands. So push in with the feet, reach with the hands, and then drop down. Lots of muscular energy in this one. Take one more, and then we'll hold at the top. See if you can reach up. Take your gaze into a good place. You might even work on stacking. Sometimes the head comes forward to try to counterbalance. Stack the base of the skull over the back body if you can. Take your head back. And then just a few breaths with the knees bent. See if you can hold that position. Reach your hands back. Notice your body's trying to fall, but you're not going to let it because you're so strong. And then release that. All right. Are the feet and legs waking up yet? We're going to take that march into a crossbody movement. So adding the hands in. Feel yourself from your center standing. Let your weight shift into your right foot. Push into the right foot. Lift the left foot. And then as you do that, take your right hand and wherever you want to touch. It can be the inner left thigh, the knee. It's up to you. And then take it down. So simply press into the left foot now. Lift your right leg. Touch your right leg with the left hand coming across the center line of the body. And then come down. I like to inhale up and exhale down. So right now I'm keeping more of a straight line kneecap right in front of the hip. But if you want to create more of a rotation, you could turn your body, take your leg across your body. Up to you. So notice That transferring of weight into one foot and one leg line from your center. And the rotation of the upper body if you're rotating, or even if you're just taking the hand, you're still rotating. And the option is there to just be here, right? If you don't feel comfortable lifting all the way up, the foot stays on the ground. So let this movement meet you wherever you are today. Take a chance. Lift the foot up. Nice. And coming back down, relaxing for a moment. We're going to do a little more for proprioception, connecting hands and feet to center, but we'll do one side first. So as you're standing there, just visualize, draw that line again from your core center down to the left foot and then up and out to the left hand. So can you get a visual picture of your left side from core center? Your leg and your arm all the way to fingers and toes. And then if you want to do it to your breath, breathe in and reach the left hand forward, sweep it forward, and step the left leg back. So you're coming back onto the ball of the foot again. Reaching. And breathe out and step back to where you feel equal weight in both feet again. So you'll naturally shift your weight into your right foot, push into the right foot, reach through left side. And then breathe out, land in both feet. If this is really simple for you, then close your eyes. And then do it from there. Trying to line up the toes. So reaching, ball the foot into the ground, hand reaching, and coming back down. And do one more there. Relax. Coming back to the center, we'll switch sides. So take a moment, now we'll be transferring weight into your left leg. And you can shift that by pushing into the left foot. You can also shift your center over your left leg. Feel that difference. And then you're sweeping your right arm forward while stepping your right leg back. And a lot happens here. You might notice when you step that right leg back, you should feel a tightening through the muscles through your buttocks and your hamstrings. So that back line of the leg. And then stepping back. Feel your weight shift back into both feet to your center point. So if we have that plumb line coming up the center of the body, you can actually visualize yourself going left of the plumb line, your spine, your whole body, and then coming back to that plumb line. Close your eyes and feel that. And you're connected. You've drawn those lines through the right side of your body from your core center. And take one more there. Raise your hand, press into your foot. Go all the way out to the periphery, as far as you can go. And then back. Okay. So we're going to do another crossbody one. And this one you can take really slowly. Again, if you feel balance challenged, you can switch hands and you'd be taking one hand to the wall. So you could turn towards a wall. Or just come to your toes. You don't have to lift the foot up all the way. So we're going to do crossbody. We're going to take the weight into the right foot. Take your left leg up, and remember we're crossing here, so you can just touch that left knee with the right hand, something we already did. But now you're going to reach through left leg out to the side and right hand. So think of reaching in a diagonal. So instead of straight back, I'm going out to the side more with the left foot and out to the right, left foot to left side, right hand to right side. You're going there to start, and then pull it in. Reach it out. And pull it in. So if you're feeling a little sassy today, instead of touching your knee, so you can get your foot. So to do that, you got to put a little bend in that right foot. But you got to let that right foot still support you. Push into the right foot. Reach out. See if you can touch. Here's the balance challenge, right? Reach out. And I know in yoga, balance poses are really important. We do a lot of them. But what I find with the balance in yoga is it can be really easy because we're always stationary. This is the challenge. And this is really what we're doing in life, right? We're moving, and life is about moving. If we're going to have an unfortunate accident and fall, it's not because we're standing still in a balance pose. It's because we're moving. So feel. See if you can touch. Foot to hand. Whoop. And come down. We'll switch. It's harder for me to do this when I'm talking. So pause for a moment, feel the two sides of your body, and then shift the weight into your left foot. And you can shift by pushing into the foot or by shifting your center over. Think of your pelvis coming towards your left leg. And then your right leg comes forward. Maybe just starting again where we were before, touching the inner knee. And then reach your right leg back to the right and left hand forward to the front. I like to let my gaze follow. And then we're here. I like to inhale, reach, push, exhale. So one of the things that helps me too is I don't get much feedback if I'm on the tips of my toes. So when I'm reaching that right foot back, I'm staying on the ball of the foot. More feedback. The feedback is going to create that muscular engagement through the back of your leg. Reaching. And then if it's there, get a little more playful. You can bend into your left knee. See if you can touch your foot. Hand to foot. There's those talahiridas. Left hand, right foot. Reach out. And maybe you want to do it from your heart center. Touch. And reach. Reach on the inhale. Touch on the exhale. And unfortunately, we find that our balance definitely gets challenged with aging. It's part of aging, an accepted part. But that doesn't mean we have to give up. These are really important parts to keeping the brain stimulated and centered. And you can do one more there. And relax that. Coming back to center. This last one we do is a little bit more of a, well, I'll say it's a little more of a kick in the butt because that's kind of what we're going to do. We're going to do another crossbody pattern. So you have to see what your stretching ability is in the back of the leg. So if you know you're more comfortable lifting a bent knee, you're going to do that. And if you like your leg straight, we can go to a straight leg. Okay, so that's up to you. But we'll start by transferring weight into the left foot. And as you take your left foot, just like we were touching the knee, now see if you can get a little extension through your right leg and just touch your right leg with your left hand wherever you can reach it. So if you can get to the foot, that's fine. You don't have to. We're going to go there and then drop it down. And then we're going to do the opposite. We're going to switch. We're going to do right hand to left, inner knee, leg, foot. Notice how the other hand has to help you balance and come down. So let's just go forward first. Leg, knee. So I like to make this one kind of fun. This is where the music is fun. You can kick up. Notice where you're pushing into the ground and where you're pulling away. So I'm pushing with the standing leg, pulling away with the other leg, and then crossing. And feel your upper body, how it's crossing the midline, crossing that center point. So if you're not touching the foot, that's absolutely fine. You can be here. And here comes the real challenge. You ready? So I remember doing this one as a basketball drill in high school. That's taking me back a little bit. But it's really helpful. So we're going to do the front, right to left. So right foot to left hand, drop down. Right hand to left foot, drop down. Now we're going to take the right foot back, left hand to right foot. And you may not find it, or you may. Drop down, left leg back, right hand to left foot. So we're always crossing. And front, in front, switch legs, behind, like you got a tail, and behind. And any touch counts. It doesn't have to be on your foot. So right foot, left, right hand, left foot. Switch. Left hand, right foot. Left foot, right hand. And we'll feel the weight shift into your left. Right foot, left hand. So I'm going to give you a second because it sometimes takes a moment to find your rhythm in this one. So the other thing I'm going to point out as we're doing this is we're moving from our hands and feet, but notice how all of the muscles of your legs are responding. You might start to feel it in your hips, right? So this is really a good full body workout. It's a nice way to wake up in the morning, coming behind you, and in front of you. I like to keep a little wider stance. I haven't gone down on camera yet, but this could be the practice that does that. Be playful. Get that music cranking. And do it just for another minute for yourself. Go really slow. Sometimes the balance challenge is it's more difficult when we go slow versus getting that momentum and kicking and kicking and kicking. So pick a speed. Slow it down, speed it up. You probably see kids do this, right? They just intuitively do silly things like this. Notice the way you got to bend your knees. Build up a little heat here in the center. Finish your last round where we are. And then pause. And be still. Just set your ears over your shoulders over your hips, and your heart in the center. Take a big breath in through your nose, and we're going to breathe out the mouth. As you breathe in your nose, think of puffing yourself up. Fill your body. There's that wave at the top of the crest. As you breathe out, let everything slide downward, all those lines that we drew earlier from your arms into your core center and all the way down into your feet. Let's do that 2 more times. Breathe in, fill, breathe out, like everything's falling down into your feet. So there's a softening of the upper body into the hips. Feel the support of the hips, the spine, the pelvis. We really often present the spine as being something weak and troublesome, and it's not. It's incredibly strong. And especially when we set our spine successfully over our pelvis, our legs, and our feet. We're meant to be bipeds on 2 feet, right? Take just a few more breaths there and just feel yourself. If you want to wiggle fingers or toes, you can do that. We're going to slowly make our way back down. We have one more, a little challenge that we're going to do. We're going to repeat and then go to the other one. So as you come down, this is really important too. Please feel free to use your hands, use a chair, but see if you can go down slow, keeping your weight. Where do you need to keep your weight in your legs? And then down into your feet. Take your time. And at what point do your hands come down? So we do this often involuntarily, but as you're coming down, what happens when you put your weight in your hands, right? And coming down, trusting your hands. So we're going to do just 3 more rounds where the toes are rolled under, hands are underneath us. We did this earlier. And if you have a down dog practice, I'm going to invite you to go into that as well. So push into your hands, roll your toes under. As you exhale, lift your tail. Inhale, come down. Exhale, push into the toes, push into the hands. So notice how this is going to activate your core by pushing into hands and feet. And then if you want to work just from that core standpoint, you can stay right there in the center. If you want to take a child's pose and rest, the nice thing about the child's pose is you can take your hands to your feet and give them a little massage and a thank you and a love. Don't just choose one if you don't want to. Or as you exhale, roll your toes under, and then inhale, lift your navel center, lift your core center up. So we're coming into down dog, and as you exhale, just let the heels fall. Take a few breaths there in your down dog. And if that was a new progression for you, try it again. Come down, roll the toes under. As you exhale, push into the toes and the hands, lift just the knees. That's going to help to wake up your core. Then inhale, lift your tailbone high, let your tongue drop. Exhale, let your heels drop. So we're always playing in gravity. And is that play a push into gravity? Is that going to create more stability and comfort, or a pull away from gravity? So you're drawing your tail up, dropping your tongue, pushing into the balls of the feet, but dropping your heels. Your sits bones go down, your tailbone goes up. Hands, think of your hands. You're pushing into the hands, but drawing the arm bones into your shoulder blades. And then if you've been in your down dog, let's take just that moment in the child's pose. Tops of the feet can come down. See, if your head won't rest on the ground, feel free to put a pillow or something underneath it. You can also use your arms underneath you. But if you got the ability to take your hands back there,
Just give the feet a little massage. Say hello. Hello, feet.
And then the last challenge of the day, and this is really walking away a little bit from somatics, except that it's very much about centering ourselves and awareness of muscles turning on and turning off. So we're going to take the hands forward, palms down. The whole foot is on the ground, about hip distance from our hip distance apart, our feet are. And you're drawing a straight line from the center of your hip to your knee to your ankle. And now this is going to be a push in with feet and hands. First, just notice what happens when you just push into your feet. Push your feet into the ground. Push forward into the ground. And notice how there's an action, like the legs move, right? And then push into your hands. And notice the action of the upper body, just pushing into the hands. And now, if we were to push into the hands and the feet, there's going to be a little lift. It doesn't have to be high. And I like to inhale down, exhale. Think of drawing in through the navel center. So here's that core action. So I'm going to exhale, push into the ground. I'm resisting the gravity, and it'll lift up. Inhale. Come down, release. Exhale, push, and lift. So the exhale invites us to draw in through this core center. So everything, even though we're pushing with the hands and feet, we're drawing into that center. Inhaling, releasing. Exhaling, pushing hands and feet. That's where that power is going to come from. Wherever we can touch the ground, it's the opportunity to create muscular action, to lift us up, pushing hands and feet. Get a nice stretch to your shoulders in this one, however, how you want to come. If you want to take a moment to hold it for a few breaths and push into hands and feet, find your spot. You can be down here, you can be up high. The more you bring your shoulders towards your hips, it generally brings a little more comfort to the shoulders, but you're continuing to push into the feet and lift. So hands and feet down into the earth, core center up towards the sky. And release. Come down. Definitely building some heat today. So before we finish, we're going to finish with what is often a favorite pose for different reasons, the way I like it, but it's Baddha Konasana, where we take the soles of the feet together. And I'm going to invite you to do, if you have a favorite way to do it, if you don't want it, then it's not your pose, but this idea of just letting the feet touch one another. And bringing the feet together before you do anything else. See if you can get the hands in on the party too. So you might massage both feet. Create, once again, we're going back into more the energy of the heart to the feet. That other center, right? We have the core center, which we just felt, and now we have the heart center. Connecting. Hands and feet. And it's a lovely thing to think about all of the things that your feet and your hands will do for you today, tomorrow, the rest of the week. And you can continue to massage. I like to imagine opening the feet up like a book. You can use your hands to do that. And then in our resting position, if Baddha Konasana, the soles of the feet together, is comfortable, you can keep that. Let the feet, imagine they're having a little conversation with each other. Hello, left foot. Hello, right foot. How are you today? And for some people, it's more comfortable to have the heels further from your sits bones because you're going to have less inner thigh stretch. Usually that's the case for me. As you draw the heels in towards the sits bones, and you'll see this more traditionally, then you get a lot more stretch in your inner thighs. And if you know that that creates too much stretch, try the heels further away. You can also take bolsters to the outside of your thighs. But for a moment, I want you to be a little more active. I want you to feel your feet touch each other. And just like you're going to do with your hands, push your hands together and push your feet together. And just noticing just the right, what we say, just the right amount of effort. If you push your hands together, you're going to feel a little action in your shoulders and your arms. But we want to keep the throat soft and the jaw and the face. And if you push your feet together, you'll feel a little bit of action around the thighs and the hips. but keep the low back relaxed. The whole spine is feeling support of the floor. And all we're doing is creating a little bit of resistance between our own hands and feet. If there's too much going on in the legs, the other thing that can help is when you're pushing the feet together, instead of letting the knees fall all the way open, squeeze them up a little bit higher and then continue. What does it feel like to push the big toe side of the feet together versus the little toe side? Where can you feel those muscles being recruited in your legs and your pelvis? And can you still breathe fully through the front body? So this is this idea that we're creating support by pushing hands and feet together, but there's actually this softening of the core. The core is still able to receive the breath in a comfortable, pleasant way. So legs engaged, arms engaged, softening through the core. Take just a few more breaths there. And notice if you're holding tension in your jaw or your back, can you let that go? And what I like to think is pushing in on the inhale, relaxing into gravity on the exhale. What parts of your body are touching the floor? Last breath. And release. So if you like Baddha Konasana, you can keep this. I would definitely recommend putting something underneath your knees. The other way to go is just take your legs long or let your knees fall together and feet out to the side. We're going to go into relaxation in just a moment, but first, a little bit more movement. Just take your toes up and your ankles and your fingers and do a little happy dance. And let this happy dance come from your heart center. So I tend to find that when I'm moving from my core center, there's more restriction. I'll stay in the bones and the muscles perhaps. But if you were to do this like a small child from your heart center, and nobody's watching, that's the beauty of YouTube videos, right? You're at home in your own safe space. What would it be like to just move from your fingers and your toes and your hands and your feet, your ankles and your wrists? And I don't even know what this is going to look like, but I'm just letting them lead. And my core is coming along for the ride, of course, but I'm leading from my heart. It's a very heartfelt movement. Fingers, toes, hands, feet. Anywhere they want to take you. Imagine you're pushing something away from yourself, and then you're drawing it back in to your heart, right? And that's what our hands allow us to do. We get to bring into our heart what we want, what we need, and push away what we don't need. And the feet allow us to go towards the things that we want, that we're manifesting, and to walk away from the things we don't need, don't want. And then go ahead and just settle down into your body. Find that space of relaxation. Return to the beginning. And you may choose to set your center as your core center around the navel, that physical center of gravity, or you might find yourself in your heart center. You can breathe into that home for your awareness. Find yourself in that center as you breathe in and as you breathe out. Let those lines of awareness draw themselves all the way out through the length of the legs to the feet, and through the length of the arms into the hands. Notice the position that your arms and your legs naturally find when they're completely relaxed. Perhaps now your palms are up. You can feel the fingers curling towards the centers of the palms. You might feel the way your feet fall in one direction or the other. Where are the toes relaxed? Keep this visual of drawing awareness from your center through the shoulders and down the arms into the hands. And from the center through the pelvis, down the legs into your feet. Take 5 more rounds of breath, honoring your hands and your feet from the space of center. We're going to wake ourselves up from the top of the body first. And just noticing the crown of the head, your hairline, your scalp. Maybe you want to squeeze and release your forehead and move your scalp. You can roll your eyes around underneath your eyelids. And without opening your eyes, just imagine the room around you, space underneath you. Open and close your jaw. Move your tongue in your mouth. And then you might gently roll your head from side to side. Feel the top of your spine moving. And from that place at the top of the spine, visualize yourself going down through your spine into your core center. And from the core center, you've passed through the heart, the shoulders, and come back up just enough to feel your arms and wiggle your fingers. Move your wrists. And your breath will flow down your spine through your heart center into the core center and send it all the way down the legs into the toes. And feel free to wiggle your toes. You can take your big toes in circles and maybe move your ankles. If there's a favorite way that you like to come out of your rest, please do that. I'm going to take a big full body yawn. One last moment of reach through fingers and toes, hands and arms away from the center, breathing in. A stretch of gratitude and for promise for all the things my feet and my hands will do for me. And breathe out. Release that. Take your time rolling to one side. Notice how you push into your foot to roll to a side. You might use your arm as a pillow. Your hands will help you to come up. So this newfound awareness of when we're using the strength of the feet pushing into the ground or the hands pushing into the ground or pulling away from the ground to help us to get into our core, to access those core muscles. If you'd like to join me with hands at the heart center, you're welcome to, or just placing your hands on your heart and be present in your body, hands touching one another. Thank you for joining me. Maybe take a moment to think about something you could do. Maybe it involves going somewhere on your feet, but using your hands. Sometime this week, something you could do for someone else in a show of appreciation or love or gratitude. Because that's what these are. They allow us to bring pleasure to ourselves, but they're also, I believe, one of our greatest gifts to bring happiness, peace, and health and healing to others. So how can we use our hands and our feet to do that? Some kind gesture this week. And I'll challenge you to do that. And if you want to leave me a comment, let me know. I appreciate it. Thank you, patrons, and all of you who subscribe and comment. See you next week. Peace, joy, love, and light.